Welcome to the third video on the fourth section of Hume's inquiry concerning human understanding. In this video, I'm going to discuss the first step of Hume's argument. So we saw in the last video that there are three steps to Hume's skeptical argument about our knowledge of matters of fact that we aren't presently sensing or remembering, or our immediate knowledge of matters of fact. And what Hume wants to argue, his overall argument, is that such knowledge of matters of fact, such immediate knowledge of matters of fact, is not founded on reason, as he takes us to generally believe. And the first step in establishing this is going to be showing that all conclusions concerning matters of fact, all inferences about matters of fact, are founded on the relation of cause and effect. And he says this on page 16. So we get this on page 16. He says, there he claims that all reasonings or inferences or conclusions concerning matters of fact seem to be founded on the relation of cause and effect. By means of that relation alone, we can go beyond the evidence of our memory or senses. Why would this be? Why is it that all of our inferences or conclusions or reasonings concerning matters of fact seem to be founded on the relation of cause and effect for Hume? Well, let's look at some examples. Suppose I just received a postcard from my friend Deepak, and the postmark was from Paris. And I infer from this that Deepak must be in Paris. And here I'm reasoning from the effect, the postcard with the postmark Paris, back to the cause, which I presume is Deepak's being in Paris. Or again, suppose you drink a glass of water and you infer from this that soon your thirst will be quenched. Here, you're reasoning from the cause to the effect, right? So in the postcard case, well, you got the postcard and that was the effect. And then you reasoned from there to the cause, and the cause was what the immediate knowledge of a matter of fact, right? But when I drink water and I make the inference that soon my thirst will be quenched, I sense the cause, the drinking water, and I draw an inference to the effect that soon my thirst will be quenched. And so there, the immediate knowledge of matters of fact is that my thirst will be quenched, the effect. Okay, so that'll get us warmed up. But why should we agree that everything we believe about matters of fact, which we don't believe because it's present to our senses or remembered, we infer by cause and effect? I mean, those were some cases, but why should we think that's all the cases, right? Well, let's look at some more examples. My memory isn't going to help me with my belief that there's a wall behind me. My memory tells me that there was a wall behind me 10 minutes ago, the last time I turned around and looked at the wall. But my memory is not telling me that there is a wall behind me right now, right? It can only tell me that there was a wall behind me 10 minutes ago. If the wall came down or popped out of existence, however, then there would be all sorts of ramifications, all sorts of unusual effects. The ceiling would probably start collapsing. My wife would come in horrified from the next room. Or she might start running out the door. But I can infer from none of these things happening that the wall hasn't popped out of existence. And in general, I can infer from a lack of unusual effects that there isn't an unusual cause, right? So lack Okay. You also know that I'm not going to start doing jumping jacks, even though you can't see me. You know it. Why? Well, usually on these videos, I'm talking through philosophy concepts. And this is not an exercise class. You know, I'm not making videos of myself here doing calisthenics or yoga or something. And since there's no reason for me to be doing jumping jacks, you infer that I'm not going to be doing jumping jacks. And so here you're inferring from the usual causes to the usual effects. And in general, if you examine anything you believe about the existence of things in the world, Hume thinks that you'll find that it's going to be like one of these cases. So here you're inferring from usual causes to usual effects. And so in general, if your knowledge of matter as a fact isn't based on memory or present sensation, then it's based on causal inference. But why? Well, one way to make this vivid is to consider that if all we could believe or know were limited to the present moment, we would be extremely limited creatures. Historical and all other kinds of scientific knowledge would collapse. This is because both history and science depend on cause and effect. Without cause and effect, we would be stuck in our very limited knowledge of what we sense and what we remember, exactly as it's taken place. We wouldn't be able to arrive at a very sophisticated conception of the world at all. And so in general, our causal inferences are very important for all of our scientific knowledge. All of that would collapse if we only had knowledge of what we're presently sensing or what we can remember or what we know through relations of ideas. Okay, and so we've seen a number of examples of inferring from effect to cause, from cause to effect, from a lack of unusual effects to a lack of unusual causes, and from the usual causes to the usual effects. But we still haven't gotten the conclusion that all conclusions concerning matters of fact are on the relation of cause and effect. How does, given these examples, Hume get to this conclusion that all relations concerning matters of fact are based on cause and effect? Well, on page 17, what Hume says is the following. He says, if we anatomize all the other reasonings of this nature, we shall find that they are founded on the relation of cause and effect, and that this relation is either near or remote, direct or collateral. So what's the argument here? What's the argument? I'll read it again and pause the video and see if you can tell me think about what the argument is. So he says, if we anatomize all the other reasonings of this nature, we shall find. So what nature? Well, our reasonings about matters of fact. If we anatomize all of our knowledge of matters of fact based on an inference, then he thinks we shall find that they are founded on the relation of cause and effect, and that this relation is either near or remote, direct or collateral. So what's the argument? Well, he's given some examples, and now he's drawing a general conclusion. Like how it held for these examples, so for everything. So for all of our knowledge of matters of fact. So he's going from a couple of instances to and for everything. And if you think he's wrong, it's on you to provide counterexamples. That's his argument. So it's an argument from, well, it was like that in these cases, so it's like that in all cases. It's a kind of inductive argument. Okay, in the next video, I will turn to the second step in Hume's argument.